What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts. Guys, today we're doing a little discussion video talking about Amazonas, the archetype. It's a very cool archetype. It's a very original Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetype. It's very old, very old. And we're going to be looking at all the cards that the deck has currently and what I'd like to see out of this archetype. Like, what it really needs, because it's so, like, classic. It's such a classic archetype. And look at Harpies. I mean, arguably Amazonas is right there with Harpies, but Harpies keep getting more and more support and actually do things. Like, they just got a new boss monster and all that stuff. Amazonas, though, doesn't quite feel like it does things yet. And I'd love to see some legacy support later down the line, and pretty much we're just going to be a discussion video talking about what it has, what it's missing, and what I would like to see in future support. So, without further ado, let's get started by jumping into what cards the deck does have, because it's a really cool deck. Like I said, it's very battle phase oriented. They do have a lot of like battle protection, battle modification cards. We're only talking about the relevant cards here, so keep that in mind. They have a lot more cards, but it's such an old archetype. There's a lot of really, really bad cards, so we're not going to be talking about those. We're going to start off with the most important cards here. First off is Amazonas Princess. This card is awesome. It counts as Amazonas Queen while on the field or in the graveyard, which is nice. When it's normal or special summon, you can add any Amazonas spell or trap from deck to hand. +1. It's a Stratos. Love that. And then let's see. When this card declares an attack, you can send one other card from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon any Amazonas monster straight from your deck in defense position, except for Amazonas Princess. Now, this card is so strong. I feel like I shouldn't have to explain why this card is so strong. I mean, one, it's already a +1 on summon. Then, in the battle phase, all you have to do is declare an attack. So obviously you're not doing this turn 1, but later on in the duel, you send any card from hand or field to the graveyard to just special summon any Amazonas monster straight from the deck. That could be Queen, which will then make her indestructible by battle, so you don't even die to the battle, with only being a 1200 monster, which is dope. And or some other things, you know what I mean? There's a lot of different things you can do there. But very, very cool. She is like the best monster, probably the best card. There's another card that's pretty good too, but these are definitely the two best cards. One of the best cards in the deck. Definitely always going to be a 3 of. And also keep in mind, this is Rota-able, so you can play like 4 of this. Actually, technically 7 of this in your deck, so very consistent there. Next up is Amazonas Baby Tiger. This would be one of the staple like extenders in the deck, because he just says if he's in your hand or graveyard and you summon a normal summon or special summon an Amazonas monster, he'll just jump onto the field really quick, and then he also just gains 100 attack for each Amazonas card in grave. He starts at 500, so I don't see how relevant that is, but I don't know, maybe it could. And he also counts as Amazonas Tiger while on the field or in the graveyard, so certain rulings, certain effects could work there. He's just an extender, but he's really nice, and especially like with her effect, you attack, you send him from hand or field to the graveyard, particularly hand, to the graveyard to special summon a monster, and then he also reborns himself immediately. Very awesome. He is a beast, though, so he's not a warrior, so he's not searchable by Rota, and he doesn't help you get to Isolde, but still a nice extender should we get something like a Link monster for the archetype, a Link 2 or something. Could be very important down the line. Which brings us to our next monster, Amazonas Spy. This is kind of another extender next to Baby Tiger. You have to reveal another Amazonas monster in hand to just special summon it from hand, which works. But again, we don't have a ton of Amazonas monsters, but maybe the solution here is we just need better monsters. So if we got other good monsters, this could be a legitimate good extender later down the line. The other effect it has is when it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can target an Amazonas monster in grave and return it to the hand or shuffle it to the deck, so you get some recursion if you're destroyed by battle. Not too big a deal. I would have liked to see this be a little bit better stat-wise, so you could at least use it as a beater that jumps on board, but it is really weak, so at the bare minimum, it's an extender. I thought it was worth bringing up, which then takes us to probably the best boss monster the deck has access to, which is really sad because all she is a level 6 Amazonas Queen. She says Amazonas monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle, and that's it. She's 2400, which is nice. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you can pull her straight out of the deck with Princess is nice, and then like protect yourself from that battle you're attacking when you're attacking, but that's about it. I mean, the fact that you can get her out easy, so that's all she does. She's nice though, at least for battle. That's it. Which takes us to the spells. So they have a field spell. It's not amazing, but maybe it's a 1 of or 2 of. It gives a 200 attack buff to all Amazonas monsters, and once per turn, if an Amazonas monster is destroyed by battle or a card effect, you can special summon another Amazonas monster from your deck with a lower level, less than or equal to that monster in the graveyard. So if like Spy died, you could still summon like Princess. So it has like some cool things. It just allows everything to float, so it's kind of annoying. So your opponent might feel like they really want to remove it, but that's about it. Still not that good. Amazonas Call. This is like the other amazing card in the deck, other than Princess. This card is a quick effect that says take an Amazonas card from your deck, spell, trap, monster, and either add it to your hand or send it to grave. That could be the card, and it would be like just as good as Prince. Like not just as good, but like really good, like Princess is. It also says during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target an Amazonas monster you control, and it can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. But all other monsters you control cannot attack that turn. Whatever, that's still pretty nice. I mean, if they have a boss monster, they have something that's buffed up really high, like a queen that also has a buff from like the field spell or something. 2600, you could attack 3-4 monsters in a row, clear a board. It could be kind of cool, but mainly using this as a searcher. This is an insane consistency card. This plus Princess are like the 2 biggest things right out the gate to me that just scream, you've already got an amazing 2-card core right there that if they ever made good cards for Amazonas, they're very, very accessible. So I love that. That's a great start. I love that. Which takes us to an equip spell, Amazonas Heirloom. It essentially just says the first time an Amazonas monster would be destroyed by battle. It's not. And also after damage calculation, if the monster equipped attacks a monster, you destroy the attacked monster. So you attack something, you live the battle, and then you pop the monster you attacked. Kind of cool. Definitely kind of cool. It just allows you to out certain things. It's non-targeting, but it is destruction. But still, can't complain. Not terrible. Maybe a 1 of just to out certain things. And then takes us to the traps, which is Amazonas Onslaught. This is another. It's probably the 3rd best card in the set, or in the set of cards, the archetype. It's once per turn during the battle phase. You can special summon an Amazonas from your hand, and if you do, it gains 500 attack until the end of the turn. Okay, fair enough. After damage calculation, if your Amazonas monster battled an opponent's monster while this card was already face up, you can banish that opponent's monster. That is non-targeting, non-destruction removal. I know it takes the battle phase, but still, this stays up like until it's removed. And also this last part, if this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target an Amazonas monster in your graveyard and special summon it. That is pretty cool. I mean, I think this card really does a lot for you. It extends you out of the hand. It's a little bit slow, but still extends you out of the hand, gives you a small buff, allows you for non-targeting, non-destruction removal, and it just says battles, not attacks. So even if your opponent attacks into you, even if they're attacking you directly, you summon an Amazonas from hand, then they're either going to be too scared to continue with the attack, so they're going to banish their own monster, or they go through with it, and at worst case scenario, you trade yours for theirs. And if they want to out this via destruction, you still get an extension out of it. I think that's really cool. I think this card is really, really solid. Keep in mind, it's also not once per turn either. So you could attack with like 3 different Amazonas monsters. Just go attack, banish, attack, banish, attack, banish. Or with like Call, you can make allow something to attack 3 times. All 3 monsters your opponent controls. Just go with the same monster. Banish, banish, banish. Not too shabby as long as you're big enough to not die from those. So I like that a lot. This card is really cool. Definitely an awesome utility card and very searchable. Like I said, you've got, with Rhoda, 4 copies of Princess, 7 copies if you include Call, and then you have the hard copies you play of this. Maybe you play 2, maybe even 3, depending on how good this card is. But so very, very accessible. And then the last trap we have is Willpower. This is Call on it for Amazonas. It just says select an Amazonas in grave, special summon in attack mode. It cannot change its battle position, and it must attack if able. That's the only downside. Other than that, it's like if this card's removed, destroy the monster. Whatever. It's an Amazonas card, so the only upside this has on Call the Haunt is that it's searchable. So maybe it's a 1 of for specific situations, depending on like what future support we get. I don't know. I thought it was worth mentioning, though. It is an okay extension card. And then for the boss monsters, all you have is Amazonas Empress. I guess like extra deck at least. This deck does not have its own fusion spell, by the way. I might throw that in there. So you have to just like polymerization this out, which is kind of tough. But it takes a queen and a monster. It makes it so other Amazoness cards cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect. All Amazoness deal piercing damage, and if this face-up card is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon an Amazoness Queen from hand, deck, or graveyard. So it floats, it gives everything piercing, and it protects your other Amazoness cards, but it doesn't do anything offensive. It doesn't remove cards. It doesn't set up disruption for you, and that's the biggest fault of this deck, really. I think when you really get down to it and you look at everything, you're like, this deck doesn't like hinder your opponent at all. Like Onslaught maybe, but even then, like Onslaught's just like battle phase disruption. So that's the biggest thing to me. Oh, I also threw Isold in here because technically this is like a warrior deck, other than like a baby tiger. So just thought that was worth keeping in mind. So you could play that. Heirloom's also an equip spell. Whatever. Just something to keep in mind. But as far as the archetype overall, what it has is a great core between Princess, Call, Amazoness Call, and Amazoness Onslaught, in my opinion. Also Tiger. I would throw baby tiger in there. He's a good extender. Consistency is there. If anything comes out that's really good utility, really powerful card, new monster, new spells, new traps, I don't care. This deck will get to it consistently, and that is a great start and something awesome to take note of, because it means Konami doesn't have to waste their time trying to make a new search card. They don't have to worry about that. They have the searchers. They have the consistency. They just need to make powerful cards now. And the problem is the deck just doesn't have power plays. There's no payoff for anything. You're just like immune to battle. I guess if you can resolve like a bunch of attacks with Onslaught on the field, that's like your biggest power play in the deck. Other than that, it's all like battle protection. Nothing that's like really crazy. Small buff there and you float. Like this deck is maybe annoying, right? Because you can't be destroyed by battle. You have a bunch of protection. You have a bunch of floaters and stuff. But the deck just, it doesn't do anything offensive. It's too defensive, and that's what I'd like to see, is something that gives them a disruption. I think a Link 2 would be really good. Hopefully it would be something like a Link 2 that only needs oh my god, I'm in brain fart. That only needs like one Amazoness monster and then any other monster, because then you could play potentially just generic, extenders to still get you to the Link monster. They need their own version of like Isold, but like maybe keep it super archetype specific, but still make it powerful. Make it one of those Link monsters where you go, whoa! But it needs to be powerful, and then they also just need to make cards that disrupt. I don't care what it is, they need some kind of disruption. Whether it's a trap card, a quick play spell, a monster that has a quick effect, or a floodgate effect, you need something. This deck does nothing to hinder your opponent unless you're just playing generic traps and generic hand traps to slow your opponent down. That is it. So I'd love to see that. I think those are the biggest weaknesses. You just don't really have a win condition. You don't have a way to stop your opponent, and that's the biggest thing there. So what I'd love to see is something like Gladiator Beasts or something like that. Like last year we just randomly got 7, was it, oh no, I think it was 10, wasn't it? It was 7 or 10 just like brand new Gladiator Beast cards, just whoop. And listen, Gladiator Beasts aren't tier 1, tier 2, maybe even not even tier 3, but they do things and people acknowledge that. I mean, I've seen competitive players acknowledge Gladiator Beasts and be like, you go second, you see a Gladiator Beast player start with like Andal, like they can pop off like that, or just Rescue Cat, Rescue Rabbit. They can just pop off like that. It really can do some crazy combos, but like that's what this deck just needs, like new stuff to add to the core that it already has built. And that's what I'm hoping for the future. I mean, this has always been an archetype. I've always loved the aesthetic. I love the design, the art for this archetype, but they never really capitalized on it in terms of like usability. And I'd love it for it to be more than just not even like a respectable casual deck. This is like one of the bad casual decks, because even casual decks can set up like one disruption, right? This deck does nothing. So that's what I'd love to see. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts too. Let me know down below if you are an avid Amazoness fan. I mean, I'm just the guy who's always liked the art, never really messed with the deck because I knew it was bad for a long time. But I'd love to hear if you've been a long-time Amazoness fan. Let me know down below what you think this deck really needs above anything else. And don't be afraid to get specific too. Give me an exact card with effects, or multiple even, if you've really thought about it or wanted to, and now you have a reason. you know, throw it in there. I definitely love to see your thoughts on that down below. But this is going to do it for me here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more discussion videos like this from me, or deck profiles, or news videos, whatever, all things Yu-Gi-Oh! Subscribe to the channel, please, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.